uko kuno apo pano mamuona kere nai anovura meso anovura nzeve anogaya marigi Kama
kwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari garai mamunzwa pane nyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com kamba kwe vanogaya mari vanotara mari vanoziya mari kamba kwe vanotara feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei vanomuterere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei mirai ndikudze kuti chokwadi pano chizere kamba kwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotara straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence
entertainment current affairs and news kamba kwe.com usasarire kamba kwe anogaya mari
Right. 1 June 2022, and it's amazing. It's almost 1 year since I almost left this earth, and I can't believe it. But I'm still here. Right. So I want to quickly look at what is happening with CCC. Nelson Chamisa. We are going to be talking a lot about Chamisa and his party as we move towards the elections. And in 2023, I'm obviously going to be on the ground in Harare. So I'm actually very disappointed with the CCC guys, because the last time I was in Harare, I talked to young Ostalos, and I was supposed to meet these guys at one of their press conferences, but they chickened out. They couldn't even tell me where the press conference was being held, not knowing that Gambakwe is just a harmless person who cannot do anything to them. So let's look at what Chamisa has been doing over the past few weeks. And I'm very disappointed with the CCC, because when they started out with the new name, we were all expectant, thinking that something new was going to come out, something powerful. But what has happened is Chamisa, as usual, he starts very well, but his ending is very, very bad. The biggest problem with Chamisa, as I always say, and I'm going to be saying this for years, Chamisa cannot create a system. So whatever he creates, it ends up being an individual. It becomes about the individual. If you watch the rally or the thank you rally in Kwekwe, you will see what I mean. Everything revolves around Chamisa and how popular he is. If you look at what happened in Binga, they gathered thousands of women and children. And then when Chamisa was leaving the venue, they made these young kids and women run after the car so that they can take a video of the women running after Chamisa. It looks good for, if you want to say, oh, I had so many people running after me, but it means nothing, because that is not what the real leader. So if you want to become the real leader of a country, that is not what you do. There are certain things that Chamisa needs to do, and he's not doing all those things. Unfortunately, he's focusing on what people can see now. Whereas if you want to be a successful leader, you need to focus on what people cannot see, what people will see. So if Chamisa was a smart leader, right now, he will be thinking, what will it be like on my day one as president of Zimbabwe? And I think that is very, very far off in Chamisa's mind, that thing of, let's say I become president, what will I do? He's not even there yet. He's always thinking about who is more popular, me or President Mnangagwa. I laugh when I was in the gym today, and Chamisa was I was re-listening to Chamisa's speech in Kwekwe. Everything is about I'm so popular, I'm so young, I'm so able-bodied compared to Mnangagwa. I want to show you something. What Chamisa does when he goes to every rally, and these things makes me laugh. I hope my system is going to work here because Hope's friends, they keep hacking me. So let's go to let me check this this video here that I wanted to show you. This was an interesting one. Chamisa does this at every rally that he goes, and it makes me laugh. Like, what is the point? So let's see if this is going to play. That's Chamisa dancing there, right? Right. So the point I'm trying to make here is, obviously, this was supposed to be a thank you rally, of course. I do get it. What he was trying to do here, he was trying to go to the places that he normally goes to, places like Kwekwe and all that. But to me, going to the same place over and over again, going to Binga, going to Bulawayo, going to Gwanda, going to Bedbridge, going to Gokwe, that is not enough. You're not growing your support. You need to be appealing to newer audiences. And the CCC is not growing in that manner. You cannot see them becoming bigger because they keep on going to the same people. And what is worse is that when Chamisa goes to these places, he does not create structures. So can you believe that Chamisa has been to the Midlands 3 or 4 times and there are no structures in Kwekwe, there are no structures in Gokwe, there are no structures in Gweru. In fact, there's no structures in Bulawayo. Right now, Thokozani Kupe, she's been leading from the front because there are no structures in Bulawayo. This is not a joke. This is a very, very serious problem that we're looking at here. We're looking at a person that does not understand that if you are number 2 in terms of popularity in a country, how do you become number 1? So he's slowly becoming the Julius Malema of South Africa, of Zimbabwe, in fact, because you know that Julius Malema is popular in South Africa, but everyone knows that if there's an election, he won't be president. I'm sure everyone knows that. Similarly, Chamisa, now we know that he's popular in the cities. He's going to win seats here and there. But when it comes to the presidential election, he's not going to win because he's just not doing enough to win those elections. And this is exacerbated by the lack of structures. Because if you want to win, you want to be like ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF, where they lose, they still have good numbers. So if you go to Chitungwiza, when you see a ZANU-PF election result, even if they didn't win, it's not embarrassing. It's a good result. If you go to Binga, where Chamisa wins an election, Chamisa's person can get 13,000, but ZANU-PF will get 7,000. What that means is that you will not be able to win a presidential election against ZANU-PF if you behave the way that Chamisa is doing, which is to continuously dance in front of people and make people run behind his car. Those things are not, you can't do that over and over and expect to win an election. It's crazy. Now let's go to the last point I want to make. So I've made the point that Chamisa keeps on going to the same places over and over. He keeps going there, making the same speeches, dancing to the same thing, and addressing peripheral issues, but not addressing the big issues. I want to then go to the issue of dialogue, how important dialogue is, and how Chamisa does not get it. So let's go to a video that Chamisa was obviously speaking. That is the Kwekwe video. I want to share this video because I want you guys to understand how bad the situation is with Chamisa. So let's go to what he said about the post-election period, because he touched a lot on this.
ndiripo uchite unenge uripo uri kuprasi ndichikupa pensheni yako uchidya mari yako uri pamudya ndigere tokuudza nyika inomhanywa sei munangagwa nyika hakusi kupfeka scarf nyika hakusi kurova vanhu nyika hakusi kubira vene vayo nyika ndokudzorera vanhu nyika mabasa nyika imari nyika chikafu nyika kuenda kuchipatara nyika chikoro nyika ugare nyika ikutsa ruzhinji nyika rusununguko nyika ndiwe neni ndowanzwa vachitaura kwanza aiwa hapinde mukomana haupapinde ukaona munhu akuti hauite chinhu kuda kuti waita ukazanisa ndinzarwa kuda kuti wanzarwa saka ike zvinozvarati haapinde ndakapinda kare ndava ndinoziva kuti vana vemuzimbabwe makameka decision makanga muna Morgan Tsvangirai, thank you. May you rest in peace. But Mogiza akasiya ndi pachitanda and handisi kuzoreketa chitanda kusvika ndarwa.
Right. So I'm sorry, guys, you can go and watch this video. Look, it's a very interesting rally speech. I think, as I always say, Chamisa, when he's on stage, right, he's got a way of appealing to his audience. He had a very small crowd here at Kwekwe. I don't even want to say the numbers. It was embarrassing. But the thing is, Chamisa makes points that show that he does not understand how he's going to proceed in 2023. Winning the elections is not enough. Let's say if you're Chamisa and you win the elections, there are key facts that you have to get around. Firstly, you are not going to be like Hakainde Hichilema in Zimbabwe, who had 79% or 80% of the MPs. There is no way that Chamisa is going to have those numbers. Secondly, you have a very strong ZANU-PF with structures everywhere. So you're not going to simply walk in and tell everyone to walk out. I always say this. So for Chamisa to even imagine himself in government in 2023, he needs to find ways of working with ZANU-PF. But I think this point, it escapes Chamisa. It escapes the people around him. They don't understand how to become part of the system that ZANU-PF is leading, because there's going to be a transitional period of at least 20 years. In Zimbabwe, you need at least 20 years transitional period during which the old structures will hand to the new structures. We are talking here of within ZANU-PF. It's difficult for the older generation in ZANU-PF to hand over to the newer generation. Imagine ZANU-PF having to hand over from the older generation in ZANU-PF to a newer generation outside ZANU-PF. This is crazy. It will not happen. And the way it can only happen is if Chamisa adopts the attitude of the opposition in Kenya. If you go to the Kenya sites today, you will see how much the opposition there works together with the people in government. There are no insults. There's no mocking. I think if you go to 23 minutes on Chamisa's speech, you will see Chamisa making fun of General Chiwenga. So these kind of things, they don't work because the election is just not, it's not enough. That post-election period, it will need someone who can maneuver. Even if you win 49.99% of the votes, you still need to maneuver. You still need to work with ZANU-PF. And ZANU-PF, those guys in ZANU-PF, they are not unstrategic people. So that is what Chamisa, he thinks he can just go to a rally and stand there and then talk and then win and become a president of Zimbabwe. It's not going to be like that. It will need a lot of work. And I see this 2023, 2030, probably Chamisa is very far from becoming president of Zimbabwe. I want to obviously wrap this up, but there are key things that have happened today, and I wanted to cover them, but I just don't have enough time. So the issue of Mutenheri and Petina Gapa. There's an update there. She actually, Petina Gapa had gone to court to get certain information from Mutenheri. And if you look at reports today, Petina Gapa has lost that case. So Mutenheri doesn't have to give that evidence of the conversation they had between the husband of Petina Gapa and Mutenheri, who was accused of trying to start a love affair. So that is one issue I really wanted to cover, but I just don't have time this week to cover it. I'll probably look at it when there's a court judgment, which comes out very, very soon. Then obviously, I wanted to look at what Monzora has been doing, what Kupe has been doing. They've appointed Chief Ndlovu as vice president, and I've not heard him or seen him anywhere. This is crazy. Political parties in Zimbabwe, they do things that you cannot understand. So all the guys in the opposition, they're just sitting there. They don't do anything. They wait for the election to come, then they appear. We also have the issue of the disappearance or alleged disappearance of Mo Blessing Ali in Chitungwiza. That issue, I wanted to cover it. Unfortunately, I don't have sufficient time to cover it properly. This is a very, very interesting case. So I think during the weekend, we'll try to find some time to find out what's going on. If you want to see what's happening there, you can go to Simbach, Kansas, Zimai. You can see he did a lot of interviews with the guys in ZANU-PF who were accused of abducting. But I think this is actually not an abduction. So more needs to be done there. More investigation needs to be done there. There is a lot there. And then obviously there's the issue of Kudamahachi, which I promised to cover. I'm going to give it a week or so. Then we'll go back and look at Kudamahachi and his family, what's happening there, and his son, Diego. We want to see what is happening there. And then finally, obviously, there's the air-shore crash in Zimbabwe. There was a crash this weekend. I want to look at what caused that crash. So you can go and look at the aeroplane that crashed this weekend during an air show in Zimbabwe. Very, very interesting. We want to look at probably what aeroplane that was, what could have caused that crash. I've never seen such a sad thing, like when I was watching that crash, I could see that it was sudden. So let's look at what aeroplane they were using. Is it the same as the one that crashed when the military, we analyzed last year, the military aeroplane that crashed in Zimbabwe last year? And also we've had quite a number of helicopter crashes in Zimbabwe in the past few months. So there's a lot there. And I don't know if the Civil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe produces reports when these things happen. And then obviously we want to keep an eye on what is happening in terms of our Kariba project and all other projects. I'm going to be in Zimbabwe next month. Okay, this month, which is June. What we want to do is we want to come back to our original idea of getting as many people in the diaspora as possible to own land in Zimbabwe. So I'll be meeting certain people, and we'll obviously be continuing to try to appeal to people who are able or who are in government to provide us with land so that we can assist people in the diaspora to get land, to build houses. And we're talking here about beautiful houses, not those strange things that are built without planning. So we want to look at that. And I'm sure that people in government are going to be looking at that favorably. I think today it was a quick discussion. I'm on 19 minutes now. Normally I go for 45 minutes or 50 minutes. And I think we need to keep the video short. Now, let me quickly look at your comments. I don't want to forget to look at the comments. And I want to obviously look at the most important comments. Right, Abigail Mamombe says, Uchazoti kana tawina naiwe. Abigail, I want to promise you, if Chamisa continues the way he's doing now, he's not going to win these elections. And remember, I always say, winning an election does not happen on the day of the election. You win an election months before the election. Does it appear to you like Chamisa is winning? If you're sitting at your house now, do you feel like Chamisa is winning the election? So that is not going to happen. Chamisa needs to make changes. For example, your party needs to be strong everywhere in the country for you to become president. At the moment, the party is not strong everywhere. Right, Hazel is saying, Gambakwe, you're so pathetic. I wonder how my ZANU is paying you for all this bootlicking. Right, let me tell you something, Hazel. No one pays me. I'm a businessman. I think deeply and I do things that people don't do. If you want to see the kind of things that we do, they are not in the sky. We do things on the ground. You're going to see me in Zimbabwe. Don't think that you can become a politician in Zimbabwe by just blindly supporting a party, which is what most people do. You can't blindly follow somebody. Analyze things. It goes from politics to business to social to your own life. If you don't analyze issues, you end up with the wrong conclusion. That is what happens to most CCC guys. Look at the case that happened this week. Anashepad Yuda and Simbachi Kanza and all that. There was that soccer match that involved CCC, ZANU-PF, LEAD, and MDC youths. You saw how much confusion befell the CCC just because they played soccer with members of the opposition. The ideological confusion in CCC is stunning to watch. They do not know where to separate political, economic, social, legal, and constitutional issues. Everything is a mishmash within the CC. If someone's grandmother is in ZANU-PF, then they're an enemy automatically. The ideological views of the CCC are strange. They have not properly formed. I was watching this Joseph Kalimbwe. He was invited to a Zimbabwean platform. And so when he kicked into Instagram, I was invited automatically. I got a notification. So I got in there. When I got in there, the young CCC guys were there, stopped the discussion and said, Joseph, Gambakwe is here. This guy, he must leave this platform and so forth. And Joseph explained to them that everybody who is in a certain space politically must be allowed to express themselves. So when I looked at the maturity of CCC compared to the maturity even of Hakainde Hichilema's party, the CCC is not there yet. And as I was saying to Mr. Tinachi Jonas on Monday, if by chance Chamisa wins the election in Zimbabwe, the country will be plunged into chaos because they do not understand how government functions. They don't understand how a council functions. So take, for example, now they've got Harare City Council. They do not understand how council works. They do not understand how council is accountable to the political party. So Bulawayo City Council, they're very corrupt guys at Bulawayo City Council. They are not accountable to anybody. If right now you go to Chamisa and say, Chamisa, there's corruption at Bulawayo City Council, he doesn't know what to do. He does not understand that the party leads the government. So if you listen to his speeches, you will laugh. He thinks the government leads the party, which is strange. And those are strange views that come from CCC guys. I want to obviously bring this to an end. I don't want to keep reading the same thing about Gambakwe being paid. That's not true. Gambakwe is not paid by anybody. In fact, when we have more newspapers and more platforms, because what is the problem in Zimbabwe? We've got too few people in public who discuss issues. Right now, I can count on 5 hands. I can count Gambakwe, Chikanza, Chingono, Ango Jed, for the men, obviously. I don't even want to talk about the ladies because they're talking about entertainment. We don't have enough people in Zimbabwe who discuss issues, who challenge your thinking. So if you're a ZANU-PF person, there must be someone who challenges your thinking to say, when I listen to that guy, I'm being challenged. If Gambakwe is not challenging ZANU-PF in his thinking and in his discussion, there must be other people who, when they talk, they challenge that party to think about their strategy, about the structures, about their way forward. Not what Simpaticaza is doing. It's quite embarrassing that when you get an opportunity to have a phone call, off the record phone call with someone, you then take that off the record call and you put it in public. That's amateurish. I feel embarrassed for Chikanza, the way he behaved last week when he published that video with the first lady. I have conversations with people that you will never see. The reason is people come to you in confidence. Sometimes the things that people don't want to be heard or seen in the public. And they come to you and they try to clarify issues to you. It doesn't mean now you have to take that very same thing and push it out in the public. That's attention seeking. And I don't think Chikanza's newspaper is going to grow because he's still behaving like an amateur. And he's actually making it difficult for everyone. Imagine next time, will a serious person ever talk to a journalist off the record? It will never happen because they will be thinking, okay, these guys are going to turn around on me and publish what you said is off the record. Right, I think I've talked enough. I have done a lot of venting here. And Bongi is saying this man must be either paid millions by these looters or he's desperate attention seeker. Bongi, 2023 is coming. You are going to understand what I'm talking about. Winning an election is not a game. It's a strategic endeavor. You win an election by thinking, analyzing, and not by standing on a stage and behaving like a pastor. You will not win an election that way. And you can't win an election with a poorly organized riffraff party. You need a proper structured party. And that party is not CCC right now. CCC, they just a bunch of people who come together and then go in a bus and they stand around in different places. And then they say they rally. You see, even Tendai is not going to those rallies. He realized that it's a waste of time. So that was it for today. And I really enjoyed talking to you. Our politics in Zimbabwe is still very, very immature, especially opposition politics, very, very mature. And I wish one day someone would come who can challenge these opposition parties properly and make sure that they get a good run for their money, not what they're doing now, where they just get away with such a poor show. Not good at all. Right, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back again on Saturday with Senator Kalipani Pugeni. The government of Zimbabwe has made a serious announcement about prices. How do you price your products in Zimbabwe dollars and US dollars? So we're going to be talking about that on Saturday. Don't miss that because it's going to become very, very important. The exchange rate in Zambia, it changed the government. They started, I think the kwacha lost 25% within 3 months. And this was one of the biggest reasons why that government there lost power of Lungu. So let's look at what is happening in Zimbabwe. Where is the exchange rate now? What is the government going to do about it? What is the implication of the announcement that was made in Senate when Senator Kalipani Pugeni asked the question? And this is a very important announcement that was made. Thank you very much for watching and good night.
Kuno apo pano mamu wanna get it nice. I know food I me so I know food I say I know kaya marigi come back don't come. But I'm ready to come, anogaya mari.
Zimbabwe uyo anotara mari anogaya mari. Garai mamunzwa pane nyaya pano zvamunoda kunzwa zvinotaurwa pano madiko kumunzwa mugovane.com. Zimbabwe vanogaya mari vanotara mari vanosiya mari. Zimbabwe vanotara feya kuti pamberi zvichafamba sei. Vanhu muterere zvikubatsirei mukufamba kwenyu zvikubatsirei. Mirai ndikudzei kuti chokwadi pano chizere. Zimbabwe vanogaya cash vanopa mafacts vanotara straight vane evidence vane confidence plus intelligence.
Entertainment, current affairs and news. Zimbabwe.com. Usasarire Zimbabwe anogaya mari.